Good day, everyone. Before we start our report, we should have a prayer. So once again, good day. My name is Ebenezer Rosas from BEd 1B, one of the reporter of Group 7. So our topic is about music and dance genre. So music is a universal language of mankind, according to Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. It is a universal language because music is a universal language of the people around the globe. Men and women, young and old, rich and poor, all of us have a sense of recognizing and appreciation as regard this wonderful creation of art, the world of music. What is music? Music is created by human and patronized by entire humanity as well. There is no such thing as accurate and or exact definition of music. All authors in the field of music and music education do have different meaning of what these terms is all about. As long as there is so-called combination of two entities of sound and silence, then that is just enough to understand music is a direct and efficient way. To the brief history of music. The creation of Adam is a fresco painting by Italian artist Michelangelo, which forms part of a Sistine Chapel ceiling printed c. 1508-1512. It is illustrate the biblical creation narrative from the book of Genesis, in which God gives life to Adam, the first man. Colosseum in Rome. The Colosseum is an oval amphitheater in the center of the city of Rome, Italy. Just east of Roman Forum, it is the largest ancient amphitheater ever. And the next one is the Thinker. The Thinker statue is commonly used to symbolize philosophy because of its profound pondering and contemplation attitude. The figure was envisaged as a feature of Rodin's 1880 commissions, The Gates of Hell, yet the very first of renowned colossal bronze casting was finished in 1904. Sonnet 18 is so famous largely because of its eloquent use of language and perfection of form. It starts with, "Shall I compare thee to a summer?" The English sonnet or Shakespeare sonnet, named for William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616, both sonnet forms have 14 lines but differ in structure and rhyme scheme. Is music, Beethoven writing and composing the Symphony Number 9, to in fact a universal message of hope and unity to all mankind. The next one is religion, a mass celebration where music was used. Music written for performance in the religious rite of worship. The next one, entertainment, a place get together where music and dance were observed. Storytelling, music, drama, dance, and different kinds of performance exist in all culture were supported in royal courts, developed into sophisticated forms, and over time became available to all citizens. Purposes of music and its repertoire. So number 1, music for religious purposes. First, music is used for praise and worship in most denominations. So exemplified by the song of Lead Me Lord, and the other one is the Batubalani sa Gugma or Magnet of Love by the devotees of Senor Santo Niño de Cebu. Number 2, music for entertainment. The success of entertainment is dependent on music. For the third reason, music is used for dance. It is said that music is complementary with dance for entertainment. An example of this is the trumpet dance, the All I Ask of You in a Phantom of Opera. Fifth reason, when music is used in staging of concert, like a piano concert. And then the example of this is the concert of performing of Nina, the love moves in mysterious ways. And number 3 is the music for tribal identity. Tribal is community use music and rituals and ceremonial practices as component of their cultural traditions. Example of this is the Babhanan. This is a ritual dance and music. And number 4 is music for socio-cultural occasion. The use of music in socio-cultural occasion is obviously. It is a joyfully celebrated during the celebration of festival, festas, wedding, and burials. So one of the example of this in the music of for socio-cultural is the singing in during wedding. So one of that is the You look so beautiful and white. Yan, one sample of that is that is for music for socio-cultural occasion. And number 5 is music for political campaign. So music is used increase political patronage and assurance to win the election. So one example of this, wala akong paki sa iyong presidente. Yon, one of the example of the music for political campaign. So number 6 is music for earning prestige. So enhancing one's of talent in music offers a lot of windows of opportunities. Individual joins various singing competitions to get their luck, like joining in American Idol or Idol Philippines. This is a last of purpose of music. So if you join that, Tawag ng Tanghalan is one of the example of the music for earning for prestige. The 6 major periods of the development music. Medieval period is on 450 to 1400, also known as the Middle Ages, in the between the ancient and the modern period, or Dark Ages, characterized with the attack of the different barbaric tribes. Medieval period is characterized by the following. Number 1 is simple tunes. Number 2, chant music. Number 3, passing of music through the word of mouth. Number 4, beginning to use formal notation. Number 5, beginning and flourishing of music theories. And number 6 is beginning and development of musical instrument. This picture is described the Rom Condeno music of medieval period. And the next one is medieval musician G's music instrument during the medieval period. Music in the medieval period utilized 3 types of musical instruments such as the wind, 2, string, and the percussion instrument. So number 1 is the wind instrument. Include the flute, transverse woodwind instrument like trumpet, extremely limited range of notes being played and used to send order during the battles. Number 2, string instrument are the lute, a large pair of shape of body with gut string. Fiddle development from 500 Byzantine lyra, which turned to violin during the 1500. Guitar ancestor or guitar, similar the lute, plaque with oil, coil, and string are made of gut. So this is our example, the Joseph W. Drexel, Sixtus Rathwold, lot of 1596. Seraphim Potos, fiddle in Stephen Lee, Baroque bow and beginners, and Pinterest guitar Rome. And number three is the percussion instrument. Include the dulcimer, plucked by the string with the small hammers. Tambourine, resembling a shallow drum with small metal disc around the edge. Number three is drums. Barrel-shaped instrument being struck with a stick of hands. There are famous personalities composers. The medieval period is produced musicians and composers that leave legacies of the music to the world like Pope Gregory the Great, Guillaume de Marchot, and Hildegard of Bingen. Pope Gregory the Great was the founder of the Great Gregorian chant. Guillaume de Marchot became the founder of secular music. He was traveling musician who composed singing and spoken words that inspired the writer Geoffrey Chaucer, a highly respected figure in medieval era. Hildegard of Bingen, German nun, herbalist, and composer, produced 69 musical compositions. Musical genre during the medieval period. Religious music is known as sacred music was very popular during this age. Named after Pope Gregory or Saint Gregory the Great and 590 to 604. The Renaissance period is on 1400 to 1600. The period of turmoil brought by the Dark Age, the revival of culture from Greece and Rome ushered the reawakening of the arts known as Renaissance or Rebirth. Improvement printing press. Women were accepted to be with men and in musical scene. Polyphonic type of music began. Aristocrats and rich people could afford hire musicians for celebration and events. Secular music became widespread as it was commercially recognized. Instrumental music gained in attractiveness to many compared to the vocal music. Vocal music still existed. Picture is representatives the Michael Johnson Renaissance period of music. And the one is Renaissance music and dance, female musicians. As characterized during this period, polyphony and music gained its popularity during this period. The following terminologies were commonly used. Number one is the harmony. Two or more notes being played in same time. Number three, triad. Three notes being played at the same time and its interval is entered. Major triad. Number three. Happy tone is reduced formula 4 Hs and 3 Hs of interval use. Number 4. Minor triad. Sad tone is reduced formula 4 Hs and 3 Hs. Number 5. Word painting. Musical representation of a specific poetic image. Number 6. Renaissance motet. A polyphonic chorale work set to a sacred Latin text other than the ordinary of Mass. Number 7. Renaissance Mass, a polyphonic chorale composition made of 5 sections. Kyrie, Gloria, Gregos, Cantos, and Agnos Dei. And number 8 is the Renaissance Madrigal, secular vocal song wherein the music is sets of poem in various languages like Italian, French, Spanish, German, Dutch, and English. And thank you. Next reporter.
Good day everyone, I'm Antoinette Tedros from BE Ed 1B and I will discuss the Baroque period. The Baroque means bizarre. Baroque is also known in history as the age of absolutism. Group performances in the music were also in the period. The musical genre during the Baroque period. The Baroque music is known for the use of the harpsichord and the violin family of instrumentation as the dominant musical instrument. This became popular until the remaining period of the 20th century as a form of social entertainment. Baroque music is unique based on these characteristics. Number 1, unity of mood. Number 2, rhythm. Number 3, melody. Number 4, dynamics. Number 5, texture. Number 6, chords and basso continuo. And number 7, words and music. There are 10 music terminologies of Baroque, which are the basso continuo, Baroque orchestra, movement, concerto grosso and ritornello form, fugue, opera, sonata, suite, cantata, and oratorio. So let's start with basso continuo. Basso continuo, also known as figured bass and usually done in an accompaniment manner. Baroque orchestra, a combination of musical instruments being played at the same time. Movement, a piece that sounds fairly complete and independent but is part of a larger composition. Concerto grosso in ritornello form. Concerto grosso is a small group of soloists pitted against a large of players called the tutti, while ritornello opens a theme called the refrain. Fugue, a polyphonic composition based on one main theme called subject. Opera, a drama that is sung to orchestral accompaniment. Sonata, a composition in several movements for 1 to 8 instruments. Suite, a composition that based on a dance-inspired movement. Cantata, a piece that was sung. Oratorio, a large-scale compositions for chorus, vocal soloist, and orchestra. There are 5 musical instruments during the Baroque period, which are the harpsichord, violin, viola, cello, and double bass. Let's start with harpsichord. Harpsichord defined in Renaissance period. Violin usually has a set of 4 strings with F holes and scrawled and played with a bow. Next is viola, the alto voice of the violin family and a bit larger than the violin. Cello, always be in a seated manner. It is also a family of violin. Last, the double bass, the biggest of the violin family of instrument and the bass voice of group. There are also a famous Baroque composers. Johann Sebastian Bach, recognized as the most eminent organist, harpsichordist, improviser, and master of fugue. Next is George Frederick Handel. His triple career as impresario, composer, and performer brought him to success, and his famous work is Messiah, 1741. Next is Antonio Vivaldi. Antonio Vivaldi, also known as the Red Priest, violin teacher, composer, conductor, and his popular work Concerto for Violin and String Orchestra. That's all for the Baroque period. Thank you.
The Romantic period, 1820 to 1990. This period is filled with romanticism in art, especially for music. Have greater range in tune color, dynamics, and melody. Romantic harmonic terminologies became broader with much emphasis is term of colorful and tunable chord. This is the example work of Romantic period. Thai characteristics of romantic Thai characteristics of romantic period are individually of style. Every composer has its own uniqueness and trademarks. Expressive subject, the melodic the line has a very catchy tune. Nationalism, creating music promotes national identity using folk song, dance, legends, history of their homelands, and loving one's country or heritage. Exoc- exotic- Exoticism. It is a composition where music draws inspirations from foreign influence. Chromatic harmony is uses of chords not found in a major or minor scale. Expressive range of dynamics, pitch, and tempo. This is the wide array of dynamics from FFF to PVP and EIDA range of pitches from very low to highest registered of tones and gradual or sudden change of time signature use. Terminologies. Art song, it is a composition for solo voice and piano. Strophic form. It is the repetition of the same music for every stanza. True. Composed form. It is the writing of new music for every stanza. Program. Music. It is the instrumental music associated with a story, poem, idea, scene, or event. Piano instrumental repertoire. It is an instrumental composition designed for piano. Musical instrument. It is the same setup with musical instrument used in the classical period. Famous composers. Johannes Brahms composed the several compositions in all forms except opera, known to fulfill the predictions of Robert Schumann that he will be the most influential composer during his time, and his famous work Symphony Number 3 and F Major op. 90 1883. Frederick Chopin, known as the only composition who has very huge hands, had a hand casted where concentrated only to piano solo. His popular work Fantasy Impronto 1834. Piotr Ilyich fused the national and international elements and influence to create his music with intensive and passionate composition. His notable work, The Nutcracker, 1892. The 20th Century Music, 1902 to 2000 and beyond. It is not much change of music in 20th century compared to the present. Music during the period is described as an adventure scene. There is no assumption on how the tone should related to the another. 50s up the present, each decade represent a trademark of music. No strike roles in making music. Present the composers are no longer known and given much attention. Section of symphony. Orchestral instrumentation are no longer practiced. Digital music is growing is going dominantly in this period. And that's all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Rizal Angeli A. Panganorn. I'll be the next reporter, and I will report that 20th century musical genres keep ringing in the 21st century. The disappearance of these musical genres was gradual until the music public and the music industry adopted the latest genres appropriate for the 21st century. Soft music, rhythms and blues or RBS, showcases primarily the vocal expertise of a singer and constitute music of the times runs passage of the melodic lines. Pop music refers to any kind of popular trend of tone appealing to the many, usually using digital generated sound or authentic musical instrument or combination of both. Reggae is a style of pop music that has a strong accent, beat originally from Jamaica. K-pop music is a popular music composed and performed by Korean artists that is usually with the presence or digital generated sound with a dance-like catchy tones. New wave is the end result of combining different subgenres of pop music. Soul music was started typically with African American influence which concentrate on the elements of R&B and religious music. So, pop music daw is pop music is a type of music usually played on electronic instrument that is popular with many people because it contains short songs with a strong beat and simple tones with a easy to remember rather. So, ang example na niyang mga kanta is I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles, Baby One More Time by Britney Spears, Like a Virgin by Madonna, and Uptown Funk by Marson and Bruno Mars. So, muna siya mga those are examples of soft music. So, let's move on to hard music. Punk rock is a subgenre of rock in which thrash words and or vulgar terms are used for the lyrics in order to express oneself with major utilization of electric guitars. Pop rock is a subgenre of rock that has a mix of catchy popular styles of light lyrics, typically with electric guitar-based aspect. Disco is a composition of music that dance-like rhythm. Alternative rock's music refers to a subgenre of rock that is distinctive underground mainstream music which started in the 70s and popular music developed by desk jockeys or urban blocks in the late 70s in which an instant recurring beat pattern provides the background and counterpoint for rap. Slangly and often boastful rhyming words by a vocalist. Grunge is a kind of rock that is considered hybrid in the nature which constitutes the element of punk and metal. The most of the musical genres mentioned in the chapter are influence of Western and American music. However, music has the borders, Korean, Jamaican, and other influence interplay in the scene. Electronic music is a music composition that concentrates on the usage of purely digital generated sound accompaniment. House music is a dance-like beat composition that deals with the usage of digital generated sounds which has a mixing aspect mean for relaxation. Instrumental music is a soft for relaxation of requires no lyrics, purely with the use of authentic musical instrument like piano. Ambient music is a style of genre that focuses on electronic instrumental music with no persistent beat, used to create or enhance a mood or atmosphere of a place like hotel lobbies. Trance music is a British of a new age of music that it uses typically a fast rhythm between 120 to 160 beats per minute or BPM, which dance-like aspect. Jazz fusion jazz is a dominant contribution of the Americans is the field of music which mix with other genres that produce another music flavor. Official soundtrack music is a theme song used for movies and telenovela. Independent music is a recorded and published music that is not under any recording company with institute usually of pop art element. Ska is a kind of music that uses brass instrument, namely trumpet, trombone, and saxophone, with a show band of set instructions which is usually faster beat than reggae. And one of these is the music of African tribal African music that consists mostly of chanting for rituals in any from of festivities and other. So hard music is the most commonly associated with the hard rock genre, but it may also refer to any number of genres with hard in the name, most of which have no connection to hard rock. Punk rock is a subgenre of rock which profane or trash language are used frequently in the lyrics to express oneself while heavily relying on electric guitars. And pop rock is a genre of rock that combine light, catchy lyrics in a popular style with an electric guitar bass element. Disco is a style of music with a rhythm that resembles dancing. One of these is the music of Africa, a tribal music, a tribal African music that primarily consists of chanting of rituals in the late 1970s. Alternative rock music is a genre of rock that is distinct underground mainstream music that began with the 1970s and popular music developed by disco jockeys and urban blacks. So the example of that is hard pop, hard dance, hard R&B, and hard trance, and many more. So let's proceed to the Philippine traditional indigenous music. Word of mouth is the medium used to pass on the legacy of this tradition from one generation of the next to the next. Every region in the country contributes a unique musical piece that we claim our own music. In terms of musical instrument, there are three classifications. So, Philippine indigenous music is the legacy of the custom is passed down from one generation to the next through word of mouth. Every part of the nation provides the distinct musical word that identifies as their own. These include the Talindaw, a boat song, the Awit, a song in the slow type, the Tagulaylay, a mournful song, the Sambutani, or song sung at a feast, a Kumintang, a war song that later became a love song, among others, all which flourished during the Spanish colonial period. That's it. Next reporter, please.
The Philippine traditional indigenous music. Word of mouth is the medium used to pass on the legacy of every tribe from one generation to other generation. Every region in the country contributes a unique musical piece that we claim our own music. This unique and creative tribal music is accompanied by tribal musical instruments. Philippine music is an expression of a Southeast Asian indigenous culture that has been superseded by Spanish and later American elements. It has evolved into a unique cultural expression. Today, one roughly delineates traditional or indigenous music from those with various degree of Western influence. In terms of musical instruments, there are three classifications. First is abiophones or chordophones. It's the string instruments that produce sounds when the strings are touched or struck. Number one is buktot. It's made of a coconut shell with a piece of wood as fingerboard to hold the strings. It is a small four-stringed guitar-like instrument that is made from a coconut husk. It sounds similar to a ukulele. Number 2 is kudyapi. It's a two-string boat with horsehair. The kudyapi is also used during courtship activities among the Lumad and the Bangsamoro groups. Number 3 is bamboo violin. It's a three-string violin of the Ita people. Bamboo violin is commonly called gayet-gayet among the Kalinas. Number 4 is kulitong. It's a bamboo zither. The Kulitong is a bamboo polycordal tube, zither from Buntok, Kalinga, Philippines with 6 strings that run parallel to its tube body. Second is aerophones. It's a wind instrument that creates noise by pushing vibrating columns of air through them. Number 1 is bansik. It's a bamboo flute with 3 holes from the Negrito of Zambales. The mouth hole is somewhat triangular in shape and the 3-finger holes are circular. Number 2 is ulali. It's a flute with 6 holes. The group chose the name ulali from the Tuscarora word that referred to the wood thrush, a songbird. Number 3 is palinsag. It's a leaf valley flute of Kalinga. It's a type of Philippine bamboo flute, the largest one used by the Magindanaoan. Number 4 is tungali. It's a nose flute of Kalinga. Tungali is a 4-hole nose flute. 1 hole in the back sounds are produced by blowing through a hole with 1 nostril and covering a combination of finger holes. Number 5 is suling. It's a vertical flute. The suling is an in-blown flute is used in gamelan orchestras throughout Indonesia. Number 6 is tambuli. It's made from a horn of an animal used made of carabao horn, which produces long and melodious sounds. Number 7 is a honay. It's a bamboo flute with a cone-shaped bill. It's a living 6 holes for fingers and trumpets made of coconut leaf. Third is membranophones. It's a percussion instrument that interact with the membrane by hitting with it a stick or with the hand. Number 1 is the bakan. It's an hourglass-shaped drum. The bakan is played with a pair of sticks and is one of the rhythmic instruments of the Kulintang ensemble. Number 2 is gangsa. It's a handheld gong. The gong or gangsa in the local dialect has always been an important part of the Cordillera people's culture that has been passed on from one generation to another. The gangsa is a single handheld smooth surface gong with a narrow rim. Number 3 is bongkaka. It's made of bamboo with slit that produces a buzzing sound. The bongkaka are bamboo tubes of different sizes that are closed at one end while the other is cut into 2 blades. Bongkaka is another Kalinga bamboo instrument played as an ensemble of 6 players. Its sizes are graduated, producing from low to high pitches. Number 4 is kulintang. It's a set of 8 embossed gongs placed within a wooden frame. Kulintang refers to the gong and drum ensembles indigenous to the Sulu and Mindanao Islands in the southern Philippines and northern Borneo. The ensemble is named after the principal kettle gong instruments. Number 5 is agong. It's a large gong placed hanging within its frame. The agong is a large, heavy, wide-rimmed gong shaped like a kettle gong. The agong or agong is a both wide-rimmed gong, part of the Kulintang ensembles. It is the largest of the gongs used in Mindanao. There are 2 holes on each side where the gong is tied by cords for suspension. Number 6 is kubing. It's a piece of thin bamboo with a slit at the center. The kubing is a type of Philippine jaw carved from bamboo found among the Magindanaoan and other Muslim and non-Muslim tribe in the Philippines and Indonesia. The purpose of this instrument is for communicating between loved ones and family members. It is also used for courtship. Original Pinoy Music or OPM. This unit talks the origin of our own music, the original Filipino music or otherwise popularly known as Original Pinoy Music, more commonly referred to as OPM, coined by Apo Hiking Society's Danny Javier, originally referred only to a genre of the Philippines pop songs, mostly ballads that became popular after the collapse of its predecessors, the Manila Sounds of the 1970s. So example of this is Regine Velasquez, the Eraserheads, Moira de la Torre. When Western influenced the Filipinos in terms in culture and tradition, music was not an exception. In the 1920s, name of Atang de la Rama, Jovita Fuentes, Sylvia La Torre, and Robin Tagalog showcased the beginning of Filipino music through the Harana or serenade, and kundi man or ballad performances. The rock music then soared high in the 70s along with the ballads. Since then, many names started to dominate like Pilita Corrales, Nora Honor, Jose Marichan, and Rico J. Puno. The Filipinos were addicted to the Taiwanese pop music despite the presence of a language barrier. OPM today and onwards. Towards the end of this era up to the present, with the aid of social media as well as the international of the Korean pop music or K-pop and continued patronage of Korean drama in local television, Filipinos are hooked up to their music. For example, diba, karon halos gina-idolize na nga music is from Korean pop. Mura siya maka-addict sa dalunggan bisag dili masabtan ilang lyrics. So, some of group in our country is nagimo tuod sila kanta pero iyang tono is murag Korean. Diba nakabantay mo nga na anay pop group or Philippine pop group pero ilang music is seems the same with Korean music. That's why Filipinos are hooked up with their music. Lahi na ang OPM from the past and OPM today. So, movements in music. It is referring to an individual or selected part or portion from a composition and sometimes performed separately. A movement is a self-contained part of a musical composition or musical form, while individual or selected movements from a composition are sometimes performed separately. A performance of the complete work requires all the movements to be performed in succession. The usage of music movements can be traced within the Baroque period. In classical period, the used movements triumphed as composers Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven engaged in the utilization movements. As regards the Romantic period, the dominance of movements developed to its eloquence. Sample works from Baroque period is The Four Seasons by Vivaldi in 1725. The most popular movements are the spring and winter movement. So the first movement is spring, and the second movement summer, and the third movement autumn, and fourth movement is winter. And the sample works of classical period is Symphony No. 5 by Beethoven. In 1808, the most popular movement is the first movement Allegro con brio, and here's the movements of classical period. The first movement is Allegro con brio, second movement Andante con moto, third movement Allegro scherzo, fourth movement is Allegro. And the sample works also in Romantic period is Concerto for Violin and Orchestra in E minor by Mendelssohn in 1844. The popular movement is the Allegro molto appassionato, and here's the movements of Romantic period. First movement is Allegro molto appassionato, second movement is Andante, third movement is Allegro molto vivace, and fourth movement is Allegro non troppo.
Translating sounds into movements as new art form. Sounds vibration that travel through the air or form a device and can be heard through a person or animals. Auditory, some compositions also utilize sounds from digital or from other sources. First is digital generated sounds. Second, sounds from vehicles. Third is sounds from nature, animal sounds and of nature like sea breeze striking winds. Sounds of movements like pag-open sa door or dragging a chair or dragging a table. Next, sounds from the body parts, clapping, stamping, or pag-whistle. Next is sounds from crumpled paper. Yes, pati pagkumot sa papel maka-create na siya og sounds. Next is sounds from a things or object being hit, and any sound that can be generated in creative ways. Like anang maglabay ta og bato sa river, maka-create siya og sounds pag tugdang sa bato. Then next example is kanang baso nga naay tubig. Imo bitaw na siyang ana-anaon ang kaning sa baso, maka-create na siya og sounds gihapon. Textures and music. Determine the elements called textures within the realms of music, the horizontal or vertical relationship of a musical material, overall quality of the musical. These elements determines the balance of the music within the orchestration of the composition. First is monophony. In music, monophony is the simplest of musical texture consisting of a melody, typically sung by a single singer or played by a single instrument player without accompanying harmony or chords. Next is polyphony. It's a musical textures consisting of two or more simultaneous melodic lines. The earliest polyphonic music was created simply by having musicians play or sing two different songs simultaneously. Polyphony was developed during the late Middle Age and became the dominant musical texture during the Renaissance. Heterophony is the simultaneous variation of a single melody line. A variation of the melody is played over the original melody. Heterophony is often found in gamelan music. Next is homophony. It's a musical textures in which a man Homophony is a musical textures is in which a main melodic line is supported by one or more additional musical lines that add harmonic support. This is the musical textures that we hear most often today. Traditional homophony is when all voices play or sing in roughly the same rhythm, creating a full textures. Partner song, a melodies which fit together in such a way that the sounds good when performed together. They are melodies performed as independent musical voices. Because two or more melodies, voices are performed at the same time, harmony is created. Music ensembles, otherwise known as music group or musical group of people who perform using musical instruments or vocals or both. The group members comprise at least 4/4 and above. Kinds of music ensembles is classified into different such as band, chamber music, chorale, jazz, quartet, quintet, or orchestra and symphony. Chamber music. Chamber music is a form of classical music that is composed for a small group instrument. Traditionally, a group that could fit in a palace chamber or a large room. Example, nakabantay mo nang naay magdit nya naay small group na nagdala og violin, cello or flute sa isa ka room nya. Ipatugtog dayon char sa naol romantic. And that is one example of chamber music. And traditional instrument used for chamber music is string violins, viola, cello, double bass, classical guitar, woodwind, flute, oboe, clarinet, horn, bassoon, recorder, brass, trumpet, horn, trombone, and tuba, then euphonium. Instruments pwede siya magamit sa chamber music, but the most popular instruments used sa chamber music works are sonatas, piano. Chorale is the name of several related musical forms originating in the music genre of the Lutheran chorale, sung by a choir, which two or more voice assigned to each part. Example ani is kanang mga choir sa simbahan, and every person ana nila is naay maka-assign ana nga mga tingog, naay mo high notes, naay mo low, naasay mga buo og tingog. Next is jazz. It's a music genre that originated in the African American communities of New Orleans. Louisiana is the late 19th and early 20th century. With its roots in blues and ragtime, since the 1920s, jazz age it has been recognized as a major form of musical expression in traditional and popular music. The instruments are used in jazz music. Any instrument nga kana or voice can play jazz, but historically the genre has featured trumpet, saxophone, trombone, clarinet, piano, a bass instrument such as a double bass or electric bass guitar, and the last is drum. Quintet is a small containing 5 members. It is commonly associated with musical group such as a string quintet or group or 5 singers, but can be applied to any situation where 5 similar or related objects are considered a single unit. The 5 instrument or voices includes 2 violins, mo ni ang ginagamit sa quintet, 2 violins, 2 violas, and 1 cello. Quintet is a symbol of 4 singer or instruments performers. The difference between the quartet and quintet is that the quartet nag-ensemble lang siya in 4 singer and 4 instruments, but the quintet is containing 5 singers and 5 instruments. Orchestra has a traditional sound involving the brass, bass, woodwinds, string, and percussion. One hears orchestral music is a concert halls, and also in a film scores, pop music, and even the video game. In the orchestra, nagdivided into 5 instrument families na nagproduce og sounds. First is the percussion family. Second, woodwinds. Third, the family, string family. Fourth, the brass family. Fifth, ang keyboard family. Example, aning keyboard family is katong mga piano. But the most important instrument of orchestra is the violin. Are well suited to playing melody, making them one of the most important instrument is the orchestra. Firstly, they are the highest string instrument, so their bright tone rises the rest of the string section. Secondly, they are played with a bow, unlike woodwind or brass instrument which rely on air. The biggest instruments in orchestra is the pipe organ, and the smallest is the piccolo. And the traditional orchestra, so ito pang mga niagi. Organize a music ensemble do the following. First, decide what kind of musical ensemble you like to come up with. So, nahunaan jud ninyo no, mag-decide jud mo og unsa to nga mga musical inyong gustong gamiton. Next, identify your members. Usually that there is an audition for this come up with the best collection of members. So, ang inyong yung pampiliin no kato yung mga maayo para nindot ang inyong performance. Next is be sure to come up with the group's rule and regulation. So, dapat masabtan sa inyong grupo ang inyong rules and regulation aron dili magkagubot. Next is determine the genre of music want to perform. So, maguna-una na jud mo diri og unsa inyong kanang music nga gusto niyo i-perform. Then, next is start to gather the music. So, kuana diha na ninyo itapok tanan og unsa gyud inyong gusto nga music nga inyong i-perform. Begin to do rehearsal or practice. So kinahanglan niya praktisan ug maayo para nindot ang inyong pag-perform. Then next is involves yourselves in making cover recording or videos and have your groups or identify or trademark and. So next, if you will be considered, then you get to perform, get paid, and get famous. So, ma-discover ka nga, nindot ka mo perform, then mag-create ka, magbuhat ka, or mag-perform ka para ma-famous ka sa.
Good day everyone, I'm Shuni Grace V. Sorelia from B.Ed 1B. So my topic is dance. So since music is always associated with the performing arts like theater and dance, so today I will discuss what is dance, purpose of dance, elements of dance, and classification of dance. So what is dance? Dance is evolved choreography of body with the company of music. It's a non-verbal communications art that uses primarily body movements with the use of music. It is a medium expression, social interaction, and presentation. Dance serve several purposes for our cultures, such as arts, ceremony, ritual, prayer, superstition, entertainment, eroticism, and social pleasure. Dance is an art expression of feelings and emotion through body movement. In wedding anniversary and other ceremonies, dance serves as an offering to guests. In ritual, dance pleases the spirit of the underworld to provide bountiful harvest and better health conditions. Although it is considered a form of superstition, dance remains as a symbolic imprint of the people's culture. People dance, ask nature for abundant rain, ask the god and goddesses to grant healing, and give an offering for abundant harvest. It is also used a form of prayer, like use of interpretative dance during masses and other special occasions. Providing entertainment is one of the most important purposes of dance. Dance can also provide erotic expression in drama, theater, and movie presentation. Dance provides satisfaction for social pleasure to prevent negative feelings, just like Zumba and dancing, ballroom dancing. Elements of dance. The elements of dance can be easily remembered through the form acronym BASTE or BASTE. So letter B stands for body. It is a very essential element. Without it, there is no possible movement. And letter A stands for action. It refers to the movement of execution of the dance using projection, balance, sway, giggled, and other movement depending on the chosen dance genres. Letter S stands for space. It refers to the dance hall or the stage where the dance is presented. And letter T stands for time. The element for dance refers to speed of the execution depending on how slow and how fast the dance genre it is to be executed. Letter E stands for energy. Dance performance is depending on the energy of the dancers. Dancers maintain their physical fit through regular gym activities in order to gain the energy they needed in the actual dance performance. So let's move on to classification of dance. We have a solo dance, partner dance, group dance. Solo dance are performed by only one dancer, just like an interpretative dance in a ballet. So partner dance, from the word partner, it requires two dancers to pair in the dance presentation. It is typical among ball dances like rumba, tango, waltz, paso doble, foxtrot, and so on. And group dance, from the word group, it requires two or more dancers in the dance presentation. The example of these are folk dance, festival dance, line dance, round dance, square dance, and kinds of dance. It is classified into two, the competitive dance and the dance part. In competitive dance, it includes ballet, jazz, and hip hop. Dance part. Dance part is classified into three, the International Standard, International Latin, and Open Competition. In International Standard, it includes waltz, tango, Venus waltz, foxtrot, and quickstep. International Latin, it includes samba, cha-cha, rumba, paso doble, and jive. While in open competitions, it includes the world of dance and so you think you can dance. It is a dance competition in other country. So here are some possible job and health benefits if you want to become a professional dancer. In occupations, we have dancer, dancer teacher or instructor, dance therapist, choreographer, Zumba dance instructor, aqua Zumba dance instructor, and festival dancers. In health benefits, we have a burn calories, strong bones, cardiovascular conditioning, and sociability. And that's all for my part. Thank you.